Welcome. Today we're embarking on, quite an interest about profound body. Our mission, try and unpack how our body, often in ways our mind struggle to interpret. And what if learning shortcuts, self-healing, maybe that chest, what if it's your body? Conscious mind hasn't.
It's a really powerful concept, isn't it? The idea that there's a language that actually predates your words, an ancient wisdom you might, pulsing beneath your skin, whispering these codes you might have, learned to ignore over time. And often what we label as just a symptom or maybe even a weakness could actually be your body attempting to speak or, perhaps even scream a truth that needs hearing.
Yeah.
The core of this idea really reminds us your body speaks an undeniable truth. It doesn't lie. Those feelings you might just dismiss, they're not errors. They're the starting point of something really important.
Okay, so let's dive deeper into this then. If the body speaks, but not with words, how do we even begin to recognize what it's saying?
That's the key question.
It turns out your body moves, it trembles, sometimes it freezes, or your breathing changes, and it's not trying to confuse you. It's actually trying to release something that hasn't been named yet.
Exactly. There's this quiet intelligence just beneath your skin. It's a wisdom that bypasses logic, but somehow it still knows the way forward.
Yeah, think about it. Those involuntary gestures, maybe a forgotten sigh, or those sort of waves of sensation moving through your chest. It feels like something inside you needs to emerge, right?
Right. And here's the paradox that often trips us up. The more you actively try to understand these sensations with your thinking mind, the more you might inadvertently block them.
Block them? How so?
Well, because the body doesn't actually want to be explained away. It simply wants to be heard.
That's a powerful paradox. It makes sense, though, in a way, if we're constantly trying to rationalize every little feeling. But how do we actually stop trying to understand and just start hearing?
I think many of us can relate to that feeling. Your body insisting when your mind tries to ignore it. Let's talk about Beth. That case from our research really brings this to life, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How did her body insist when her mind was trying to just, make sense of things logically?
Yeah.
Beth's experience is incredibly common, actually. She'd wake up with this heavy feeling in her chest, sometimes these unexplained chills, or moments where she felt like she couldn't quite breathe, but it wasn't like a panic attack. It was different. She'd just find herself suddenly still sometimes, staring into space, almost waiting for something to pass that never quite did.
And the doctors couldn't find anything.
Nothing physically wrong, no. And therapists struggled because, as the description goes, there aren't enough words. Because it's not really a thought. It's more like a restrained movement. Something held back. She would learn basically to dismiss these signals. If they didn't make logical sense, ignore them. But her body, as you said, it just kept pushing back. It persisted.
So the body kept speaking, louder and louder perhaps, even when she tried to silence. Did she ever find a way to truly listen? Finally.
It was a gradual process.
Yeah.
Definitely not overnight. The breakthrough came into one ordinary day. She was just sitting in her kitchen, and without any warning, her eyes just filled with tears. But here's the thing. It wasn't from sadness, apparently. It was more like something inside her was
Softening.
Yeah. And then a small tremble ran through her hand, sort of waved through her chest, and deep sigh escaped.
And crucially, in that moment, she didn't try to clamp down on it, didn't try to stop it.
Exactly. That was the key difference. For the first time, she didn't try to hold it back. She didn't understand it, not logical, but something definitely. And the description says something inside her was great. That lack of resist, huge.
That act of just allowing without needing the explanation first.
Precisely. And what's really striking here is how, ancient traditions seem to recognize this long before modern science caught up.
Right, like the mystery schools.
Exactly. Take the mystery schools of ancient Egypt. They taught that the body was the very first thing to hear the soul's whisper. Before any words were formed, it was the body that would tremble or whisper or freeze or burn. They didn't see these as just symptoms in the way we might. They saw them as divine signs.
Divine signs.
Yes, a vibrational movement that emerged when an energy needed purification or release or transformation. They truly viewed the body as an oracle, a kind of living temple of revelation, much more than just a tool for the mind.
It's fascinating how that ancient wisdom, which maybe got silenced or overlooked for a long time, is now, it feels like it's, and today science is indeed beginning to reach that kind of nuanced listening.
Absolutely. It's really converging. Consider the polyvagal theory, for example. It shows us quite clearly that your body reacts to cues of danger or safety before your conscious mind even becomes aware.
Before you even think about it.
Way before. This is called neuroception. You can think of it almost like a silent radar. It senses, interprets, and responds without needing conscious thought or logic to step in.
Okay.
And then you have Peter Levine's extensive observations, which build beautifully on. He noted how the body naturally attempts to complete traumatic cycles. It does this through spontaneous impulses, things like tremors or yawning, spasms, even those sudden waves of heat or freezing.
But things we often try to suppress.
Exactly. But they're now understood as natural self-healing mechanisms, or more technically, the autonomic discharge of the nervous system, which is essentially the body's built-in way of releasing pent-up stress or trauma. It knows how to do it.
So, okay, pulling this together. Ancient wisdom in modern science.
Yeah.
What's the fundamental takeaway here? It feels like the language has evolved, maybe the terminology, but the core mystery is kind of the same, isn't it? What the initiates back in ancient Egypt called movements of the imprisoned soul
Right.
now appears in, contemporary research papers as autonomic discharge of the nervous.
Precisely. Different word, same phenomenon. Both perspectives, ancient and modern, ultimately converge on the same core understanding, that the body speaks most clearly, most profoundly when the mind becomes silent. And when you learn to really tune into that ancient vibrational language, well, the path to healing transforms. It stops being this difficult search, this puzzle to solve, and becomes something that simply begins to reveal itself to you.
Which brings us to this really powerful concept from our research, the idea of imagining your body not as a collection of problems or symptoms to fix, but as a kind of sacred field. A space where those very symptoms become a path, a guide toward...
Yes, it highlights that crucial shift we talked about. It's less about understanding everything.
Yeah.
And much more about just letting things be heard.
And this leads us directly to an ancestral vibrational ritual, a practical way to maybe help us tap into...
Yes, exactly. And this ritual, it isn't really about finding definitive answers or explanations. It's about cultivating presence. So for the first step, you gently close your inner eye. Now, that doesn't mean squeezing your eyelids shut. It means directing your inner attention inward. Bring your presence into that quiet space that exists between your thoughts. And just rest there for a moment. Feel the silence expanding around you, but also notice it growing deep within you. This is like the sacred field opening up. Your body is responding to this silent invitation to be heard.
Okay, I'm with you. Then for the second step.
For the second step, you bring your right hand to the center of your chest, right over the breastbone.
Okay.
Think of this spot as a convergence point. It's between everything that was never quite spoken aloud and everything that was deeply, deeply felt. It's a powerful spot, kind of nestled between the throat, which often holds back words, and the belly, which carries so much feeling.
That makes sense.
And touch it with reverence. No need to rush or force anything. This gesture, as simple as it seems, it actually acts like opening a portal. You're accessing this inner sanctuary of forgotten listening. This is where those trembles you might have held back can come to rest, where the sighs you swallowed can finally find release, where words that never quite formed can now resonate without needing sound. It's basically where the body stores what the mind perhaps refused or couldn't feel at the time. So this touch isn't just physical contact. It's like a vibrational key. It awakens the silent wisdom living just beneath your skin.
Wow. Okay. And then the third step.
Then for the third step, you bring your other hand, your left one, down to your lower belly, just below the navel.
Lower belly.
This area is often considered the home of everything that hasn't had a voice yet, but still pulses with life. It's the seat of raw instinct, of the unspoken, of emotions that never needed to pass through conscious thought to exist. They just are.
Okay, so one hand on the chest, one on the belly.
Exactly. And with both hands resting there, one over your chest, the other over your belly, you're creating a kind of energetic arc. A channel, if you like, between what you feel surfacing in the chest and the origin point in the belly, between listening and release. This invisible, yet you might feel it vibrating, arc awakens a kind of dormant, energetic line right in the center of your being. This line holds your body's memory, everything it tried to express but maybe wasn't fully heard.
Okay, the arc makes sense. And the fourth step involves breathing.
Yes, step 4 is crucial. You breathe through that central line you've just activated, not just mechanically through your nose, but with your conscious awareness flowing along that inner corridor. Imagine the air itself moving through that path from belly to chest and back, as if it were gently purified. Each breath in is an opening, an invitation. Each breath out is a gentle release, letting go.
An opening and a release.
Yes. And this specific posture, this way of breathing and holding yourself, sends a really profound message to your entire being. It tells your body, essentially, I hear you. I hear what you couldn't say. It tells your belly, you are no longer alone in carrying this weight. And it gently tells any pain or discomfort, you may leave safely now. It's okay. When that deep internal message is truly received, felt, something shifts. An inherited memory, maybe patterns you've carried, can begin to dissolve. And pain that wasn't necessarily born in you, but has simply moved through you, finally feels it has permission to go.
It's interesting, isn't it, how we often get caught in this trap, this belief that we absolutely need to understand our pain fully. Like, get the whole backstory, figure out the why before we can go.
That is exactly the thing that keeps so many people feeling frozen, stuck. It's a real bind, because every time you try to explain what you feel, put it into neat logical boxes, something inside actually shuts down a little. The mind tries to take control, the raw emotion gets translated into a concept, and the body's natural process of release gets interrupted.
Right, stops the flow.
It does. It's as if we deeply believe that logic is the key to healing. But in this context, it simply isn't the master key. You are not here in this practice to meticulously understand the trauma, to write its biography. You are here simply to allow it to leave, even if it doesn't give you a reason, even without a formal goodbye.
Just allow it through.
Exactly. And this is precisely why many well-intentioned rituals or healing practices can sometimes fall short. It's often not from a lack of intention, but from maybe too much conscious control, trying to manage the healing with the mind. But healing doesn't always happen when you perfectly understand. Often it happens when you just step out of the way and simply allow the body to finish what it started on its own terms, in its own time.
That makes so much sense. And thinking back to Beth again, after she had that moment of allowing in the kitchen, her whole experience shifted, didn't it?
Dramatically, yeah.
Her chest, apparently, still felt tight, but her breathing was profoundly different, more open. The trembling still came occasionally, but it no longer scared her in the same way. And that silence within her, it wasn't empty anymore. It felt heard. It felt acknowledged.
Yes, that feeling of being heard is key.
Her shoulders relaxed without her consciously trying to make them relax. She found herself letting out these deep sighs naturally without trying to stifle or hide them. It was almost as if her body was quietly saying, thank you. Thank you for finally not interrupting.
What once felt like just uncomfortable noise, maybe static, now begins to pulse like a secret language. And it's a language that doesn't actually need translation into words. It just needs profound listening, presence.
Okay, so to conclude the ritual itself, there's a fifth and final step.
Yes, a simple closing gesture. For step 5, you gently remove your hands from your body and bring your palms together over your chest, one hand resting over the other, just resting there in silence for a moment.
Palms together over the chest.
This gesture acts as a kind of seal, a ritual whisper that says, I acknowledge what I felt, I acknowledge what moved, and I am here for it.
A seal of acknowledgement.
Exactly. And this final position, it activates what we might call the axis of return. It's like gently calling every part of your being back to your center, back home. Every cell, every memory, every fragment that might have felt scattered or disconnected begins to return. But it returns not as lingering pain, hope, but as newfound wisdom, integrated understanding. This is the beautiful closing of this ancestral ritual. It's a gesture that truly consecrates your body as an altar. And it seals the silent crossing, the inner journey you just allowed yourself to take. You don't need to intellectually understand every single nuance of what was touched or shifted during the practice. You can simply trust that it was real, that it was meaningful, because what vibrates, that remains within you. You feel the shift.
So maybe it really has always been this simple. The body constantly trying to communicate it, and the mind just being too busy, maybe looking for logical answers, accidentally forgetting, or maybe never learning how to hear what was already being said. Not through complex, simple, pure vibrate feeling.
The ancients, they had a name for this ability, they called it sacred listening. They saw it as a kind of lost art, the ability to perceive truth, not just in facts and figures, but in the subtle cracks of the unseen, in the vibration that comes before the facts solidify. As Khalil Gibran once put it so beautifully, the silence of the body holds more wisdom than the words of the mind.
That's powerful. So if something inside you, listening right now, has shifted, if maybe a new space has opened up, even a tiny one, then perhaps what you've just experienced with us isn't just a practice or a reform, but maybe truly it's a profound return, a home.
And perhaps consider this mantra phrase, something simple to carry with you to help integrate this understanding into your daily life. I allow my body to speak and I listen. Just that. What new possibilities might open up for you? What might shift if you truly allowed your body to communicate without constant interruption or judgment?
Something profound to consider. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.